Well, hello everybody. Jose Rodriguez back again. Guess where I am at? I am back in my print room, which has a lot fewer printers now. I got rid of 5 of them this past week, simply because they just didn't work any longer. They were totally clogged. There's no way that I can maintain 16 printers at one time. The only reason we had so many, even more at one point, was because people wanted to know everything about all of the major printers that were popular back in the last, say, 10 years or so. So I was able to find them in use condition, working, or new for a good price, and so on. So, once the interest sort of went away for some of these printers, or they just got replaced by much better, improved versions, I no longer needed them, and some of them I gave away, and some of them I just basically got rid of because of the fact that they either had issues that could not be fixed, totally clogged print heads, the fact that there's no more support for them, and so forth. But anyway, I did keep one particular printer, and that was the 2880 from Epson. It was during their heyday, it was one of the best printers that they had, and one that I used a lot, using third-party refillable cartridges to test various of the newer versions of the so-called Trichrome K3 ink set, especially the one with the vivid magenta. So that printer, being the fact that it has an 80 in the number, so if it was a 2400, it would not have vivid magenta. A 3800 does not have vivid magenta. A 3880, however, does, and the 2880 does as well. So I used it quite a bit for testing really quick with refillable cartridges, different formulations from Precision Colors, who was at that time developing his business. And yeah, it came in handy. So that one I kept. I got rid of a 1900, which was replaced with the 2000. The 2000 I sold to a local friend here who is still using it. Gave him a lot of OEM cartridges as well, because they were really super cheap on eBay and I stocked up on them. But then, that got replaced by the P400, so I really didn't have any more need for that. So I sold it to him, and he is very satisfied with it. Anyway, back to this room here. So as you can see, to my left is my Pro 1000. Right now I am running the sensor system. I am indicated that I need to fill up a couple of the cartridges, so we'll do that a little bit later this afternoon once I am done here. But the main reason is I was able to get my Pro 1 to work again, even after many B200 episodes. And the truth is, I've gone through like 4 print heads since I've owned it. They tend to go bad. You need to use it daily, and if you use it daily, you're going to use up a ton of ink. Worse than the Pro 1000. The Pro 1000 becomes a very thrifty printer compared to the Pro 1. However, the results of the Pro 1 were really outstanding. It's unfortunate that that printer really did not work out for Canon. So they discontinued the production of it and replaced it with this baby next to me. So anyway, the next printer that I have, of course, is the P800 that is still sitting over there. Behind it is the 3800, which has a bad black ink switch valve, and the 3880, which has the same issue, a bad black ink switch valve. And no matter what I do, I cannot get it to at least let me print, say, with black matte ink. If that was the case, then I would just dedicate it to a matte media printer, but that's not the case. It just doesn't work. It doesn't even print. The black channel doesn't even print at all. So this chair that I am sitting in is the one that I use to basically take care of baby Nathan almost 14 years ago. He will be 14 this coming April. So yeah, I do have a lot of memories with this. and I have an Ottoman in front of me as well. But something that you cannot see right now sitting on that Ottoman, a Canon Pro 200, and that was provided for me by Rick Johnson. And Rick Johnson, if you've been following me for a while, he's the guy that provides you with fully modified Pro 100 CLI 42 cartridges that you can just simply refill. They come absolutely pristine. Now, when the Pro 100 a couple of years ago got replaced by the Pro 200, I thought, wait a minute, is it really going to make that much of a difference? Precision Colors immediately got busy creating an inkset for it, but to our surprise, those cartridges were opaque, okay? And that made it, whether we can reset the chips or not, which we cannot, that made it very difficult to perform a refilling operation. You have no clue how much ink is actually inside the cartridge because you can't see through them. So we thought, wait a minute, if we can disable the chips on a Pro 1000, we should be able to disable the chips on a Pro 200 cartridge. So the idea came up of taking transparent or see-through either CLI 8s or CLI 42s and then removing the chips carefully and then transferring the matching color chips from equivalent CLI 65 Pro 200 cartridges that have either gotten low or empty, different conditions. Put those chips in the transparent cartridges, the same color, and then now you can then refill, and you can actually visualize the refilling process and not make any errors, not overfill, not underfill. You would be basically doing it the same way you did your Pro 100, okay? The only catch is you have to disable the chip, and there's a process to that. So Rick Johnson at this point has about 20 full sets of converted cartridges with CLI 65 chips, which you can then go through the process. It takes a few steps depending on the condition they are in, and they will be marked whatever condition they are in, whether it is a low condition, that is when you see the screen you will see a yellow exclamation mark, or a red X, which means it's empty but there's still ink in the sponge, or nothing, which means that yeah, you went beyond that. You somehow wanted to get every bit of ink out of that sponge. Well, the instructions that come with it is a 9-page instruction, basically a little booklet, and that will walk you through how to disable the chips regardless of what condition they are in. So what's the point of all this? Well, the point is that you will be able to use the Pro 200 with excellent inks from Precision Colors, which is now just north of Chicago in this country, the United States. No more shipping from Canada. And so you will be able to buy those inks, and you will be able to print on your Pro 200 for pennies a refill. I have calculated it. If you basically keep track of your levels on your cartridges, and I mean physically this time because you have to look at them, and never allow the liquid chamber to go empty, that means that air will not get into the sponge, okay, as it would have had you waited for the low warning on a non-converted cartridge. That would allow air. There's no more ink, so air begins to infiltrate the sponge, and it's very difficult to expel that air. You will have pockets of air, little bubbles here and there. That prevents your ink from flowing properly, and you need to maintain that proper ink flow. So the deal is you will check your cartridges every couple of weeks, depending how often you print, and at that point, top them off. Just keep them always full, and by full I mean below the plug. There's a refill plug. It will extend inside that chamber a little tiny bit. Just fill it up so that it barely touches that plug. In fact, don't let it touch. You'll be safe that way. The reason is that you don't want any ink to get into that vent that is on the very top of the cartridge. Some people tend to overfill and they get ink in the vent, and then the cartridge will not flow. After you do your initial refill and you want to see, wait a minute, did I do a good job doing this? It's my first time. I have zero experience, so I don't know whether I did a good job. I don't know whether I added too much ink. It's maybe my vent is clogged up with ink. Here's what you do. You take the cartridge that you just refilled, remove the orange clip at the bottom. With the plug installed, hold it over a cup that you don't mind getting dirty. No ink should flow. Remove the plug. Ink should begin to flow at a rate of about 1 per second, 1 drop per second. Put the plug in it, the drip should stop. Okay, that means your plug seals, and if it comes from Rick Johnson, of course, it's going to seal. And your flow rate is correct. Put the clip back on it, that's the orange clip. Remove the plug and then add whatever ink you lost. Add it back in, bring it up to just under the plug, and then plug it back up. You're ready to load that cartridge onto your printer. If your chip is already disabled, it's not going to show anything. It's going to show a blank channel, but you know that it is actually filled. And so at that point, you can continue printing happily. Now, if you want to have some way of maintaining order with your cartridges that you have refilled, say you have 2 sets, and that's what I recommend you buy. 2 sets of already modified cartridges with CLI 65 chips installed, and then you process them through the disabling process, and then once you do that, you'll have 2 sets that are already disabled and say refilled. Rudy Hallamum creates a beautiful 3D printed tray that holds those cartridges in place, and they are labeled per color so that you can easily identify which is which, because you don't want to make a mistake of filling a cartridge with the wrong color ink, of course. So this will help you keep that refilling process accurate. You don't want to make mistakes, otherwise you'll have to reflush the entire cartridge, and that is a 3-day process. You don't want to do that. So the whole goal here is to, if you own a Pro 200 and you think, oh, I bought it because it's new and they promised that it was going to be much better, but God, I cannot afford the inks. This is the way to go. And I highly recommend you go this way. If you're a Pro 200 user and you're not making money from it, you're using it for your own purposes, then by all means, buy those already refurbished cartridges from Rick Johnson. And I have a bag full right here of them. I'll show you what they look like. He was generous enough to provide me with a complete set. And there's another set already installed in the printer. Here they are. And they are pristine. As you can see, they are pure white. I have 8 of them right here, a full set. The chips are in different conditions. One of them is red X, one of them is empty. That means it's no more red X, it's just empty, done. And that one can be reset. X, X, empty, X, X, and exclamation mark. So when I refill these and I put them in the printer, I should see that indicated in my screen. Now once I start disabling the chips one by one, they will disappear. The color indication will disappear. So it'll just say yellow and there'll be no information there. And that's what we want to achieve. Now, it's up to us to be the ones who monitor the ink usage. And so that's why I suggest every couple of weeks, say you have 2 sets, you already have one already filled and disabled, you remove all 8 and put them in the second holder. When you buy that holder, you get 2, by the way, not just 1, you get 2 of them. So you put the one you remove in that holder and load the other one. You only have a certain number of minutes while that carriage sits in the middle for you to exchange ink cartridges. Okay, so you want to do it all at once, and that way everything is back up to full. And now at your leisure, you go ahead and top off the 8 that you removed, okay? And then you just put the clips back on them and put them back on the holder until the next time, say a couple of weeks. If you do this often enough, you will figure out, depending on your rate of printing, how often you will have to perform this exchange, okay? And don't feel bad, this also has to be done with the Pro 300, and the Pro 300 I think it's 10, and the 300S series. Now there's a 200S series as well. So again, they have sort of began to lock us away from refilling these newer printers, but we can still disable the chips and we can still get around that problem. You do that and now your cartridge is already modified for refilling, and in fact it's transparent, so you can actually do it with confidence instead of guesswork, which is what you would have to do if you were just simply taking a CLI 65 cartridge and disabling the chip. You still cannot see through it, so it's a guesswork and you'll be in huge trouble, I guarantee you. So the way to do this is to buy the transparent cartridges. Those used to be CLI 8s or CLI 42s. They are all identical, so they can be converted. All you need to do is transfer a chip from the 65 series to the 42 or the 8 series, and now you have cartridges that will work on the Pro 200. Precision Colors inks, and you're all set. Okay, every time you refill, you will only be adding around 5 ml max into that chamber, and 5 ml at about 12-13 cents per ml, depending how much ink you buy, comes up to like 75 cents, 80 cents, maybe 90 cents, again depending on the price per ml, and again that depends on how much ink you buy. So better than $23-24 per cartridge. That's what you would be paying if you were buying OEM. All right, I hope you enjoy this. Again, I've been doing this for over 20 years. I know my way around refilling, and I know how to get around the super duper high prices that OEM ink sells for. And yeah, it's unbelievable, and it keeps a lot of people from using your printers often enough. And so you end up wasting ink that way, because every time you print something once a month or so, it will run a cleaning cycle, and it will likely waste more ink than you will need to create that one print you're going to make. You will waste more ink. It's like you want to take your car to the local 7-Eleven, but you let it idle for 2 hours prior to you driving there, and it's only 3 blocks away. Guess how much gas you wasted idling for 2 hours? It's the same thing with these printers. So you got to be able to use them daily, and to do that affordably is to refill with top quality inks, such as the ones sold by precisioncolors.com. Okay? In my video descriptions there will be an app, a link to an app. Copy and paste that on your browser, and it will lead you to a page where all of my links will be listed, all the companies that I support. So make sure you do that. It's imperative that you save that, because you will have access to many different companies that I support, and of course my channel, and of course my Facebook group that you can then join if you wish to do so. We have over 9,000 members there, and they're all interested in photo printing. Okay, so that is it for now. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, don't forget to click on that bell so that you're notified every time I upload something. And until the next time, as always, happy printing, everybody. Bye bye. Oh, the next time I will show you the printer.